What's up, man? I started recording and I decided to play the intro, hoping that you would call and catch up real quick.
Yeah, man, I was getting out of the shower, bro.
I
Long day.
bet it was, man.
No removal bullshit. Fucking, life stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, we had what, like 2 or 3 inches last night, 3 or 4. I don't know how much you get up near you.
Where I was, we got like 5 or 6.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I had to go out there first thing in the morning and like pull the fucking trash bags up so like the trash man wouldn't drive by and not fucking throw them away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, okay. So, my friend Corey. Have fun out there. It's probably gonna be busy. Yeah, I know. What's up, man? Did you have a good Christmas, bro?
Yeah, man. How was your Christmas?
Pretty good, dude. I just cracked a fucking nice IPA.
Nice.
Watched those 3 episodes of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
One's by myself and one's with my kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched it Christmas night, like once everything had settled down.
Yeah.
All that.
Same. And I was worried that it was going to be like that Netflix was going to be swamped and I was going to be able to watch it, but it was fine. I sat down a little after 8 and watched all 3 episodes.
I had Reese yesterday. We watched it again.
Yeah.
And then I put together her drum set.
Nice.
Because I got her an electric drum set.
Yeah.
And then I got her to watch Terminator 2.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it was getting late. And it was like, we only got time to get one in. And I'm like, and the second one's better.
Second one a lot better.
Just get you up to speed real quick. I gave it like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, now let's watch the second one.
Good.
And I told her, like, would I ever steer you wrong? Like,
I'm not going to make you watch a movie that's not good.
Why would you not? Like, that's my judgment on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. These kids, they don't get it. She's like, this is a fucking great movie. I've been telling you. It's like, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's pretty cool. And then it was like this fun cast actors thing, you know, like movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that kid, right? This is his first movie he's ever been in.
Yeah, right.
And then I was like, and it's all downhill after this.
I don't remember what else he was in after that.
American History X.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was in a few other things.
Cemetery 2, which was awful. A couple other movies I can't remember. All I know is she had a mustache who was locked on with drugs for a long time. He's been sober for 8 years now. He's in Detroit Rock City. Remember that movie?
Nope.
That's kind of like a cult classic anyway. So what do you got in store today? Are we doing more government espionage?
No, this one's a little different. This one's about a guy who disappeared into the jungles of South America in search of the lost city of Z.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Bro, so I heard about Rogan talk about this on a podcast recently.
Probably did, yeah. It's some pretty interesting shit, man.
Do you get into the little figures that have 3 fingers and 3 toes?
No, I haven't seen those.
Okay. God, I don't want to start blowing the shit up because you got everything fucking lined up, ready to go. So we might as well just before that, anyway, how was your Christmas? Real quick.
Yeah, my Christmas was good, man. The kid made out like a bandit, as always. As always.
Yeah,
And it was fun. It was a good time. Had a good dinner and just chill, man.
that's cool.
Yeah. How about and you? You had a good Christmas?
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm just kind of chilling right now.
Yeah. Sounds good, man.
I was at my brother's on Christmas Day night.
Yeah.
I went playing trivia with like his wife and my sister and like my sister-in-law's friend.
Yeah.
And it was pretty fun, dude. It's one of those games where like so like my sister was like the person that was like you put the card in the thing and it's like name 10 Australian actors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people just started like blurting shit out.
Oh, I
Russell
gotcha.
Crowe, Robbie's, nope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bono, yup. It's like, wait a second, he's not an actor. What
He's
the
not an
fuck?
actor, he's a musician.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
But yeah, I drank it like his most expensive whiskey that he has. Like not all of it, but like I poured myself a nice heavy hand of it.
There you go.
I was literally like, I'm gonna drink some of my brother's whiskey, and I'm like looking at it like he's got a fucking collection.
Really?
And I'm like, yeah, this is the most expensive one, so I'm just gonna go with this.
Hit the expensive one up. Yep.
And he worked 911 dispatch till like 6, so we got home kind of late.
No shit.
Yeah. What are you gonna do, man?
Sounds like a good time anyways.
He popped in during his lunch break around like 2:30 and was like saying he had to get back because they had like 3 like rambling drunks arrested.
No shit.
Yeah, it was a domestic issue and like people were like drunk out of their mind.
Interesting.
They had to arrest 3 of them.
Jesus. That sounds like a fun Christmas for somebody. Somebody had too much fun on Christmas.
Oh yeah. All right, man. Jen, the city of Z, you said?
Yep. The Lost City of Z.
I've heard about this. It involves the Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't, like I said, I don't want to take too much meat off your steak because this is you. Because I just heard about this with Rogan on a podcast.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. All right. We'll start up right after the break here. Isn't it? The guy's supposed to play. Hold on.
Is this about the shit where they found structures and like streets and like actual like complex like sewerage systems like in the Amazon rainforest?
Hold on. Yeah, there's something wrong with the intro. So, anyways, we'll just get into it. I was trying to.
It's the thing I just said, but like, is that what you're about to talk about? How pretty much most of the Amazon jungle's like man-made, and there used to be like cities and shit.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. Yeah.
All right, like I said, you
So-
can delete all. I'm just.
So first thing we're talking about, Colonel Percy Harrison Fawcett. That's the guy who went out in search of the Lost City of Z. So Colonel Percy Harrison Fawcett was not a reckless treasure hunter or a Pulp Fiction adventurer chasing myths for fame. He was a disciplined British Army officer, a trained surveyor, a member of the Royal Geographical Society, and one of the most experienced explorers of the Amazon basin in the early 20th century. And yet, despite his credentials, his final journey would blur the line between science and obsession. And in 1925, Fawcett vanished into the Brazilian jungle with his son and a small expedition. Chasing rumors of an ancient, advanced civilization he simply called Z, like Zed. He was never seen again. To understand how much of a respected man disappeared so completely, you have to understand who Percy Fawcett was and what drove him. So Percy Harrison Fawcett was born on August 18th, 1867 in Torquay, Devon, England. His father, Edward Boyd Fawcett, was a member of the Royal Geographical Society and a man fascinated by exploration and adventure. That early exposure to maps, journals, and stories of distant lands planted the first seeds of curiosity in Percy's mind. So this guy was obviously an adventurer right from the start.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Sounds like he had the itch.
Right. Yeah, sounds like his dad had the. I mean, that was a great time for exploration, man. 1800s, you know. He was educated at Newton Abbot Proprietary College and later trained at the Royal Military Academy in Woolwich. In 1886, Fawcett was commissioned into the Royal Artillery, beginning a military career that would span decades and shape his methodical, disciplined approach to exploration. Unlike many explorers of his era, Fawcett was not impulsive. He was precise, patient, and deeply analytical, traits that would later earn him respect among scientific circles. So this guy obviously knew what he was doing. He wasn't just some errant treasure hunter.
No, doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, it sounds like, you know, a lot of those guys back then, I think a lot of them were just like, yeah, we're gonna go get the boats, fuck it up.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Especially
it
back
wasn't
then, man.
exactly-
Like you had a
wasn't-
whole other continent to explore now.
I mean, it wasn't exactly Google back then, and like,
Nope.
I mean, was there even any books written about the Amazon?
Oh yeah, because the Spanish started exploring it in the 1500s. So we're gonna get into that too.
Yeah, that I know that. So like they went off of like what was written by the Spanish,
Oh
the
yeah,
Spaniards.
yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's a
So-
start.
In 1901, Fawcett joined the Royal Geographical Society, where he trained as a surveyor. At the time, much of South America, particularly the Amazon basin, remained poorly mapped. Borders between nations like Bolivia, Brazil, and Peru were disputed, and accurate surveys were desperately needed. This is where I don't understand some stuff. Is like they've got this whole continent, they've got separate countries, but they have no idea where their borders are until the Europeans show up. Like, oh, hey, we're gonna throw some borders on your countries for you.
Kind of tracks.
It does kind of track.
I mean, the Native Americans didn't really have any borders or air quote states, and we
No,
just kind of here and did that for them.
yeah, they knew where their areas was, and
Yeah, I mean, they knew like where their tribes were, you know,
yeah,
like to go into this tribe because it could create conflict, but
yeah,
there was definitely no borders.
no. I think that was mostly. Well, I mean, I'm sure they had territories, but borders, like defined borders were probably more of a European thing.
Like now we're in Massachusetts. Okay, now we're in Rhode Island. Yeah, like that didn't exist.
Yeah. In 1906, Fawcett was selected to lead an expedition to map the border between Brazil and Bolivia. This was his first journey into the Amazon, and it changed him forever. The jungle was not merely a place of danger to Fawcett, it was alive, ancient, and layered with forgotten history. He encountered venomous snakes, hostile terrain, disease and isolation, but he also heard stories told by indigenous tribes about stone cities, ancient roads, and long-dead peoples swallowed by the forest. Unlike many Europeans of his time, Fawcett did not dismiss indigenous knowledge. He listened. So a lot of people in his day, in the 1800s, people didn't think that what these people in the Amazon basin were telling was the truth, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so like what he was reading from the Spaniards of the 15 and 1600s, he didn't believe that to be truthful.
No, what they're saying is that like when he went to the Amazon basin and he started hearing stories from the indigenous peoples there, he believed them.
Okay, yeah, all right, well that jives.
And they're telling him about like stone cities and roads and ancient civilizations, and you know, a lot of Europeans didn't believe that at the time. They thought it was just desolate jungle.
It's like shit like, you know, like the Mayan ruins or like Machu Picchu. Like it's signs of really, really old civilization, but yet nobody can definitively figure out like when exactly those structures were built.
Right. Yeah.
All just kind of hearsay, yeah. You know what I mean?
Right. They have no idea when these structures, and especially some of the structures that they don't know if they're structures or not. You know what I mean? That makes it even worse. Is like the things are so old that they don't even know if they're actually structures.
Like I remember, I don't want to get too off topic, Joe, but I have been to the fucking Mayan, the Mayan ruin there. I forget what the fuck it's called.
No idea.
The thing. Hold on.
Not what
The
you just said,
Mayan.
right? Machu Picchu. You just said that.
Oh, drive me crazy if I don't figure it out. Chichen Itzu.
Okay.
You know Chichen Itzu, that big fucking like pyramid, and it's in that old like civilization.
Where was that? Was
It's
that
it's in the
Mexico?
fucking the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like an hour and a half away from Cancun.
Okay.
But like, so to give you an example, bro.
Is that the one where they thought it was a hill, but it turned out it was like 3 or 4 pyramids built on top of each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If you see it in the movie Apocalypto,
Okay.
they're like decapitating people and like kicking their heads down the fucking top of the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Well, so I went and visited that in 2008, right?
Yeah.
And we took like because me and my ex, we went to Cancun that year. We took a bus ride that was like an hour and a half long. Then we had to get out of the bus, and there was like a hiking trail that took like 30 minutes through the jungle, bro.
Oh.
And they warned you too. They're like, expect to hike about 4 miles into the jungle. Like that was part of the, it was like one of off the resort fucking tours. And they weren't kidding, man. It was 2 miles in and 2 miles out.
Oh,
and
wow.
you're nothing but jungle. And then all of a sudden you're just like, boom, you're at just like really old ruins and civilization. It's fucking wacky, bro. So I've seen that shit.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fascinating.
Uh-huh.
Over the next several years, Fawcett led multiple expeditions into South America. He survived near-fatal encounters with jaguars, anacondas, hostile tribes, and starvation. He reported seeing strange creatures, including what he believed to be a giant snake and possibly unknown animal species. I guarantee they didn't know everything that was in the jungle back then. But more unsettling than the wildlife were the ruins. Fawcett documented pottery fragments, stone tools, and earthwork suggesting large populations had once existed deep within the jungle. This directly contradicted the prevailing belief that the Amazon could never support advanced civilization. So back then, they didn't think the Amazon could support any civilization.
It was kind of like the same theory of the Congo. It's just like it's too dense and vast.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. The scientific establishment largely dismissed his claims, but he did not. So by 1910, Fawcett had become obsessed with the idea of a lost ancient civilization hidden within the Amazon. Drawing from indigenous legends, early Portuguese records, and his own observations, he theorized the existence of a city he referred to as Z. He believed this city predated known South American civilizations and may have been highly advanced, possibly influencing later cultures like the Inca. Fawcett was not imagining gold-plated temples or mythic riches. He believes Z was important because it challenged humanity's understanding of history. World War I interrupted Fawcett's explorations. He served with distinction, was wounded, and eventually promoted to colonel, but war changed him. During this period, Fawcett became increasingly interested in mysticism, spiritualism, and theosophy. He believed ancient civilizations possessed knowledge long forgotten by modern society. Some acquaintances noticed a shift. His ideas became more esoteric, he's certainly more absolute. While many explorers relied on large expeditions, Fawcett believed smaller groups were safer. He grew distrustful of publicity and critics, convinced too much attention would doom his quest. By the early 1920s, he was determined to return to the jungle one final time. So he obviously found some shit while he was out there.
Yeah, I mean, why else would he go back?
Right. He thought something was much, much older out in them jungles.
Probably was, dude.
Yeah. In 1925, at age 57, Percy Fawcett set out what would become his last journey. He was accompanied by his eldest son, Jack Fawcett, age 21, and Jack's friend, Raleigh Rimmel. They departed from, I'm gonna butcher this, Cuiba, Brazil.
No. What date?
Oh, 1925. I don't know what day it was.
Oh, I thought you said 1957. I was like, what was this guy, 90 years old?
No. 25 at age 57.
You said 1957. Like, this guy's a hard charger, 90 years old in the jungle.
Yeah, because, yeah. I mean, shit, 1957, he would have been like 90.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said at first. And I was like, what?
Fawcett refused offers of larger parties, supply drops, or rescue contingencies. He believed excess men attracted danger. Some of his final letters he wrote to his wife, "You need have no fear of failure." And that was one of his last confirmed communications. After crossing the upper Xingu River, the trio vanished. There's been theories, but no definitive trace of Fawcett has ever been found.
Good luck finding those bodies.
Right. Over the decades, dozens of expeditions attempted to locate him. Many failed. Well, they all failed. I mean, none of them locate him. Some explorers disappeared themselves. It's estimated that over 100 people may have died searching for Fawcett.
Wow.
I don't know what the hell was out in them jungles, but
I mean, dude, he could have got killed by an apex predator. He could have got killed by a fucking tribe.
I mean, literally could, but he could have gotten lost.
Malaria.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million things that could kill you in the Amazon, dude.
Yeah. So what's interesting is, in recent years, like we were talking about, archaeology has vindicated some of Fawcett's ideas. Researchers have discovered vast networks of geoglyphs, roads, and earthworks beneath the Amazon canopy, evidence of complex pre-Columbian civilizations. While the city of Z remains unproven, Fawcett was right about one thing: the Amazon was never empty. Definitely something. There's definitely been stuff out there. We're going to talk about that too. So now that we talked about Fawcett, the guy who disappeared looking for the lost city of Z, we're going to talk about the city itself and the story of the lost city of Z. You ready? You got anything else before we go? Go on.
I'm just thinking about 11th grade social studies, the 3 G's.
What were the 3 G's?
Guns, germs, and gold.
Okay.
Well, I mean, in 11th grade social studies, it's like what ruined South America, and it was guns, germs, and gold.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. So for most of modern history, Amazon rainforest was believed to be empty. Besides being a jungle, it was a place where nobody lived, just tribes. A place where civilization could not take root, where humanity merely passed through and never stayed. The jungle itself was thought to be proof, dense, unforgiving, and seemingly eternal. If great cities had ever existed there, surely someone would have found them. And yet, long before the jungle was written off as green void, there were whispers that refused to die. In 1542, Spanish explorer Francisco de Arellano became the first European to travel the length of the Amazon River. His expedition, originally part of Gonzalo Pizarro's failed search for cinnamon and gold, produced some of the earliest written accounts of the Amazon interior. Accounts that would later be dismissed, then quietly reconsidered centuries later. The most important record comes from Gaspar de Carvajal, a Dominican friar who traveled with Arellano and kept a detailed chronicle of the journey. Carvajal described a river system that was densely populated, with large organized settlements lining the banks for miles at a time. He wrote of the villages so numerous that they appeared continuous, with well-constructed houses, roads, and farmland under cultivation. According to his accounts, the riverbanks were not wild or empty, but actively managed landscapes supporting large populations. This is the first written account of the Amazon by a European. And it's so totally different than what we imagine the Amazon to be, you know?
Yeah.
The expedition reported encountering powerful indigenous groups capable of organized resistance, including coordinated attacks involving hundreds of warriors in canoes. These groups were described as disciplined and led by chiefs, suggesting structured political organization rather than small nomadic tribes. One of the most famous and controversial claims involved reports of female warriors fighting alongside men. These encounters inspired the name Amazonas after the mythical Amazons of Greek legend. While later dismissed as exaggeration or misunderstanding, modern scholars suggest the Spaniards may have encountered women participating in warfare or ceremonial defense. So here we are seeing not just a vast civilization and a vast cityscape, but also seeing women also participating in the warrior stuff, the warrior class.
Hey, man, that's badass.
It is badass. Carvajal also noted extensive agriculture, including cultivated fields of manioc and other crops, as well as evidence of food storage and surplus, strong indicators of permanent settlements rather than transient camps. When later European explorers failed to find these cities, the reports were labeled unreliable or mythical. However, modern archaeology and epidemiology now suggest that European diseases likely spread ahead of later expeditions, devastating these populations before they could be documented again. Entire communities may have collapsed within decades, allowing the rainforest to reclaim their sediments rapidly. And that's what they're starting to find out now, you know, especially finding all these huge cities underneath the canopy, you know? Like, could you imagine that? You see like one expedition of ships come in and like 10 years later, your entire community's gone.
It's hard to think of, but I mean, what's the time frame we're talking right now?
This is the first explorers who went to the Amazon was 1542.
Yeah, man. I mean, just the it's hard to imagine A, yes, but like B, knowing what um European germs were brought to North America and South America and how
Yeah.
it just devastated colonies. Well, that was the main thing was like like European explorers like just did like North Americans and South Americans just they didn't have the immune system to deal with stuff like syphilis and smallpox
Yeah.
and that stuff. So it just fucking destroyed them.
Yeah.
And I only know that through just, history being my favorite class when I was in school.
Right.
So yeah, I can see how, like, 10 years later, they wiped entire tribes or natives right off the map.
Yeah, and
Through
I definitely believe that there were massive interconnected cityscapes all throughout this area. Because I think it
Oh
was
my
the
God.
same. I think it was the same in Northern America too. I think it was the same thing where there were tribes, but they were all connected. There were roads, there were ways to traverse. Like, how do you go from showing up in the 1620s to in the 1640s and 50s, you've got cities, you've got Boston, you've got Philly, you've got New York. Like, I think all these places were already there and established before the Europeans got there. And then once the disease wiped everybody out, they just claimed all the roads for them. You know what I mean? Started using all the roads themselves.
And it makes sense too because like a lot of the major especially in the northern East Coast.
Yeah.
So I'm talking like Maine, New York, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all that area,
Yeah.
Vermont. It's like every major metropolitan area, including most capitals, they're all on river basins. You notice that?
Yeah.
They're either on river basins or they're like connected to like the easy access to the ocean.
Right. And it wasn't like the western part of the United States where Lois and Clark had to make a huge expedition and find all this stuff. Where like people already were here and told them where everything was, I think.
Yeah, man. And the Appalachian Mountains was like until the gold rush of the 1840s. I mean, most of America was not explored. It was only like the oil and the gold rush of the 1840s and 50s that like prompted people
Start heading
to
west.
start heading west. Like even still to this day, bro, I don't know if you know this, but 70% of America's population is east of the Appalachian Mountains, bro.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah, I believe that.
So it's like even still to this day, it's the East Coast is the most thickly settled portion of Northern America, USA.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because like what is it, after the 98th parallel or something, whatever that line is, once you go west of that, the population just drops off until you hit California again.
Pretty much. I mean, once you go west of the Appalachia,
Yeah, it starts dropping.
it drops drastically.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It makes a lot of fucking sense.
But then on the other hand, like we talk about when Europeans got to North America, it was like what, the end of the 1500s, 1600s, and they pretty much, we stayed here. You know what I mean? So like once we got here, we never left. Where in the Amazon, they went in the 1500s, they left and didn't come back for until the 1700s. So we'll talk about that too. Today, many historians believe the 1542 Spanish accounts were largely accurate, offering a rare snapshot of Amazonian societies at their peak just before collapse. Nearly 2 centuries later, another strange account surfaced, this one not written in the chaos of exploration, but in careful detail. Known today as Manuscript 512, the document describes an 18th century expedition that claimed to have discovered a massive ruined city deep in Brazil's interior. Stone arches, paved streets, statues carved from rock, inscriptions unlike anything the explorers had seen before. The city was abandoned but unmistakably advanced. Yeah, this is interesting. So this is like this old manuscript that's in Spain. And I read through it. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'll read you a couple pieces of it. Thence spread out before our eyes, we saw in the open plain greater spectacles. For a vision of admiration and wonder, at the distance of about a league, as we judged, we saw a great city, and we estimated by the extent and sight of it that it must be some of the court of Brazil. We at once descended the road towards the valley, but with great caution. So they started going down towards the city, and then they wanted to wait a couple days to make sure that there was nobody in this city before they started going in there and checking it out. They were worried about running into, aggressive tribes or something like that.
Probably. But you always find it odd that like most of South America speaks Spanish except for Brazil. It's a predominantly Portuguese speaking country.
I mean, those are the 2 countries that were exploring South America back then.
I'm just saying though, like, isn't that odd?
It is kind of
bit.
interesting. What I always find interesting is how old, like there's very old places in Texas, and it's because the Spanish were there for so long. Like there's buildings there's buildings and stuff down in Texas that date back to the late 1500s and 1600s because the Spanish got there and started building stuff. And so like you always think like New England is so old, like they got here first, but like not always. Spanish settlements and Spanish cities down in Texas that are 100 years older than anything in New England,
Yeah, I mean, like St. Petersburg, I believe was founded in like 1540 something. Like,
Yep.
like it was founded in 1500.
Yeah.
And many believe the Florida Keys were also founded in like the 1500s also.
Yeah. All right, so this next part of the description. They now saw for themselves that it was true the great city was uninhabited. We all therefore now decided to enter the place, our arms ready for instant use at daybreak. At our entry we met none to bar our way, and we encountered no other road except the one which led to the dead city. This we entered under 3 arches of great height, the middle arch being the greatest, the 2 of the sides being small. Under the great and principal arch we made out letters, which we could not copy, owing to their great height above the ground. Behind was a street as wide as the 3 arches, with here and there houses of very large size, whose facades of sculptured stone, already blackened with age, something about inscriptions, all open to the day, observing by the regularity and symmetry with their terraces open to the day, without one tile, for the houses had, some of them, burnt floors, others large flagstones. So it just describes this city that they found in the 1700s. And it's super interesting, but it's very broken up because obviously it's an older document. By the time Percy Fawcett found it was a 200-year-old document. But so the manuscript was archived and quietly forgotten, except by Percy Fawcett, who drug it out and decided he was going to go find this lost city of Z. Fawcett read manuscript 512. He listened to native guides, compared notes, maps, and oral histories, and slowly he became convinced that beneath the canopy lay the remains of a lost civilization, one that predated European contact by centuries, perhaps millennia, and he called it Z. Not because that was his name, but because it was the final answer to a question no one was asking. The Amazon soil, scientists insisted, was too poor to support large populations. Any civilization would have collapsed quickly. The jungle itself proved it, but the jungle was lying, or rather, it was hiding something. The black earth beneath the trees. Scattered throughout the Amazon basin are vast stretches of terra preta, dark, fertile soil completely unlike the surrounding land. It's not natural, it was engineered. Created through generations of careful land management using charcoal, organic waste, pottery shards, and controlled burns, terra preta remains fertile centuries later. It suggests permanent settlements, agriculture, and long-term planning. So I've heard this before in other like, especially when you start watching the stuff about ancient aliens and that, you go off the deep end sometimes watching that shit. But they talk about how the soil in the jungle of the Amazon basin is man-made, essentially.
Yes.
Where the plant diversity is not something you would have found if it was always a natural jungle.
I've heard this theory before. That there was actual, like, there's soil that's not native to the country at all.
Right, it was all engineered stuff. So it would have been created through generations of careful land management using charcoal, organic waste, pottery shards, and controlled burns. Yeah, and like I said, it's still fertile now, even hundreds of years later.
I mean, dude, there's shit inside the Amazon that, like, there's people still to this day that go on explorations and they discover forms of plants that have never been discovered, like birds and snakes and spiders that they never knew existed. Like, there's so much to be found in the Amazon, like, that hasn't been unearthed yet. You know what I mean? It's a massive mystery. A lot like, kind of like the ocean. There's a lot of the ocean that hasn't been explored.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of stuff, especially that. So, like we were talking about before, people have started doing LiDAR scans of the jungle and finding all kinds of shit. So I got this article here. LiDAR scans reveal many lost cities, not just one. Many thousands of earthworks in the Amazon. I'm going to read through this one real quick. This is on ancientorigins.net. For decades, archaeologists have suspected that human settlement in the Amazon basin was more expansive, ancient, and sophisticated than previously recorded. However, direct evidence remained scarce. Artifacts were dispersed, and the dense forest canopy concealed what lay beneath. So it's hard to get through. It's hard to go there as a single person and dig through the jungle and figure out what the hell was there. You know what I mean?
You know, yeah, that's fucking crazy, dude. So can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you ever heard of the equator theory?
The equator theory, no.
Okay. So they believe, millions of years ago when we had our last ice age,
Yeah.
that whatever form of human life, whatever you want to call it, whatever it was at that point in time, a Homo sapien, whatever it was,
Yeah.
when the ice age hit, the people who are smart enough to realize that this thing is going to wipe them out migrated as close to the equator as possible. So that is why, like a lot of, and you notice Brazil in the Amazon jungle kind of sits right on the equator,
Yeah.
right? Along with Machu Picchu, along with if you go over to Africa, it's Egypt, it's the pyramids.
Oh.
If you go to the Middle East, it's Iraq, it's Syria, it's Babylon, like. So it would not be surprising if there was civilizations tens of, if not hundreds of thousands years old all around the equator, because that was the only, like once the ice age hit, that was the only areas where life could actually fucking exist.
I've got my own theory about that too. That has to do with the ice age and about why you don't find ancient pyramids and ancient structures in the northern sections. You know what I mean? Because like you're saying, all these pyramids, like Mexico has pyramids, the Amazon has pyramids, Egypt, Africa, the Middle East. There's probably stuff in Japan and Southwest Asia, right? There's all these very, very ancient buildings and civilizations that they're finding all over the place. Not so much in the northern areas, right? Like you don't find ancient you don't find pyramids in New Hampshire, for instance, right?
No.
So here's my working theory, and I ran this by someone the other day. What if when the ice age happened, right, and the glaciers started moving south and pushing everything, what if they just scraped everything off? Like, what if they just flattened all the old stone structures and all the ancient civilizations that lived in the north, like you say, away from the equator? What if all that shit was just gone because of the ice age, the last ice age, the last 100,000 years ago?
Very possible.
Right? Because, I mean, they always talk about the ice pushing down from the north and how it created everything by just pushing all this stone. But like, what if that's why we find, I mean, if you've been out in the woods out in New England, like you walk around, you see these massive stones and massive stone. Some of them look like they could have been structures. Some of them have flat faces. You know what I mean? Some of them look too perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're definitely man-made.
So what if it was man-made and it just ended up being pushed and mutilated by a glacier? And that's why we don't see these ancient stone structures in the northern part of the hemispheres like we do near the equator, because they're not as affected by the giant ice caps.
Yeah, which kind of cycles back my.
That's why I brought it up. Like that's the equator theory. Yeah, like that's where everybody goes when the weather starts turning to shit in the northern hemisphere or the far southern hemisphere. You know.
Yeah.
Although there's less land mass in the southern hemisphere, so that doesn't really.
But I mean, the only area that was inhabitable of life from the ice age was near the.
Oh, definitely would have only been the equator. Yeah. Except for the Neanderthals, those fun guys, stout
Like
little.
there's even theories about like Machu Picchu. You know how it sits like 7,000 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
They believe that like the reason why it sits so high up is that the ocean was actually like at that level when it was built.
Yeah.
And just over time, the ocean has eroded down, 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 down. And now you have this fucking city that just randomly sits 7,000 feet above sea level.
There's a lot of theories about like the wear and tear on the pyramids being like looking like water washing them. You know what I mean?
Possibly could have been the ocean at
Yeah.
one point.
That's what some of those theories are. So anyways, we'll get back to this, back to the Amazon. So everything changed when they started using LiDAR. So LiDAR is light detection and ranging. And it employs laser pulses to scan terrain and create detailed 3D maps. And unlike ground surveys, which could take years, LiDAR can unveil hidden structures beneath the thick forest cover in a fraction of the time. So it can actually, it looks at the ground, it can penetrate the leaves and the trees and look at the shape of the ground. And what's interesting, when they start doing that, you start mapping stuff with LiDAR, you start seeing, it starts to unveil these hidden structures beneath the thick forest canopy in a fraction of the time. So from the perspective of archaeologists, LiDAR represents a vital breakthrough that, among other things, has allowed them to examine the Amazon for signs of ancient settlements in virtually every part of its huge expanse. And what they've discovered is astonishing and remarkable. I've seen a couple of shows where they've been using the LiDAR to check different areas, and it's almost like you can't scan a section of the Amazon without finding something.
Which is very wacky.
Right, which goes back to the 1542, where they're talking about there's just cities and people all the way.
Yeah.
One of the key figures in harnessing LiDAR's capabilities to explore the Amazon is Vinicius Parapato, an analyst at the Brazilian National Institute for Space Research. By scrutinizing LiDAR data, his team has uncovered evidence suggesting that somewhere between 10,000 and 24,000 pre-Columbian earthworks exist throughout the Amazon basin.
Jesus.
These findings indicate that ancient Amazonians built and resided in surprisingly large urban centers, shaping their environment through advanced agricultural practices, fisheries, and forest management. While the results of the LiDAR scans will require on-site verification, their implications are profound. These discoveries challenge the traditional notion of the Amazon as an untouched wilderness incapable of sustaining large populations. So this just goes to show you, like, there's so much that was there at one point.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
The arrival of European colonists brought devastating consequences to the region. Waves of conquest, disease, and forced assimilation led to the collapse of many indigenous populations, leaving their urban centers abandoned and eventually consumed by the rainforest, quickly disappearing beneath trees and undergrowth. But modern archaeology is now rediscovering the incredible accomplishments of the lost civilizations using remote sensing, radiocarbon dating, and soil analysis to piece together their amazing histories.
Which, Joe, I don't mean to get off topic again, but like, what's a clear-cut example of that? Just
that?
like, okay, I've never been in the city, but you have. And just look at the city of Detroit, right?
Yeah.
It's fell apart over the last 50 years. You drive through Detroit now, there's areas where there's like abandoned houses that are totally overgrown with tree, like there's like trees growing through houses. There's like weeds and bushes and vines that have totally encompassed, like dilapidated, crumbled buildings.
Yeah.
And that's only 50 years, man.
It doesn't take very long.
It doesn't take very long for a city, an abandoned city to be overgrown by a lush forest or jungle or whatever.
Right. And Detroit, like you're saying, that's a northern city, so like it has to do more with like summer or winter. You have to wait for the summer for everything. Down the Amazon, I'm sure this stuff just grows nonstop. Like it never quits growing. And it would not take that long for all that stuff to, I mean, look at some of the ghost towns we've been to around here, like Pilfershire, Hampton City, Dogtown. You know what I mean? These places it wasn't 100 years ago that these places existed. And now even the New England forest is taking it, and it's hard to find anything about it,
it's hard to find anything, and
And a lot of times, if people didn't clear it out and make it noticeable, like you'd walk right by these things and never even notice them.
exactly. I mean, you could hike through Dogtown and not know that it's an abandoned town if you didn't know the history of it, or like places like Dogtown.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of places like that. There's all kinds of stuff like that out there. Some of them
So
is
like,
like you're looking at rock structures and stuff, and you're like, if you know what you're looking for, you could tell like, oh, this was a mill pond, or this was an old mill, or look, this is a spillway, or this was a foundation. There's a rock wall. But like, if you don't know what you're looking for and you're just seeing stones out in the woods, like it's hard to tell if that stuff what it was, you know. So yeah, it could very easily, that place could disappear in a couple hundred years in the jungle like that, of something that was a massive monument that was the center of an urban center, could just look like a hill in the jungle now.
all overgrown.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about was when we talk about the lost city of Z and the Amazon, obviously you think of El Dorado, right? So at first glance, the lost city of Z and El Dorado seem like two versions of the same legend. Golden cities swallowed by the jungle, driving explorers mad with obsession. But while they share themes of mystery and conquest, they are fundamentally different in origin, intent, and meaning. Both legends emerged from early European encounters with South America, particularly the Amazon basin. Spanish and Portuguese explorers entered a world they did not understand and struggled to explain what they saw. Large populations, complex societies, and vast engineered landscapes contradicted European assumptions about primitive wilderness. It had to have. Could you imagine like going back to Europe and be like, yo, there's this river and there's cities and there's so many people there, it's crazy. And they're like, yeah, there's no way. It's just like in the jungle? Nah, I don't believe you. Both myths also reflect colonial misunderstanding and exaggeration. Reports of wealth, organization, and power were filtered through European expectations, especially the belief that true civilization must resemble cities of stone, gold, and centralized monarchy. So, of course, they're looking at it through a lens of early Europeans, too. Well, not early, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
And most importantly, both legends were fueled by fragments of truth. Archaeological discoveries such as terra preta soils, road networks, and large settlement mounds suggest that advanced societies did exist, though not always in the form imagined by Europeans. Finally, both Z and El Dorado became obsessions. Men abandoned families, fortunes, and sanity in pursuit of them. Entire expeditions vanished into the jungle, leaving behind only rumors, bones, and warnings. But the differences are El Dorado was primarily a legend of gold. Early versions described a king covered in gold dust, ruling a city or kingdom overflowing with unimaginable riches. The myth centered on material wealth, reinforcing the European belief that conquest would lead to fortune. The lost city of Z, by contrast, was never described as a city of gold. Percy Fawcett believed Z represented a highly advanced but non-golden civilization, a society with planning, agriculture, culture, and knowledge. Z was about human achievement and not treasure. Yeah, El Dorado was more myth than fact. And Z was,
More legend.
I mean, it's still legends, but it was the fact that Percy Fawcett was so meticulous with the way he went about things that it was more likely that there was actually some truth to the lost city of Z than there was to the city of El Dorado. Yeah, man. So this always fascinated me, man. Like the whole idea of the Amazon being this vast cityscape and then becoming what it's turned into, which is nothing but jungle after being desecrated by disease and war and assimilation of the Spanish and Portuguese.
Yeah.
I think somebody asked me one time, like, "Oh, if you could travel back in time and go anywhere in the world, where would you go?" And I was like, "The Amazon basin in its heyday, in its prime, 1400s, 1500s." before it was destroyed, before it was desecrated, demolished, and went back to being the jungle that it is today. That would be cool to see.
Man, fucking European settlers, really.
I mean, except for the whole cutting people's hearts out and throwing them downstairs, like,
I mean, just, yeah. I mean, European settlers, man. Like I said, the three G's, guns, gold, and jabs,
yeah.
really wreaked havoc on the North, Central, and South America.
Yeah. I mean, it drives the point home too when you see like old maps of Rhode Island and Massachusetts or Cape Cod, you know, because I look at those every once in a while.
Yeah.
And you can see where all the tribes are, and there's a tribe for every piece of land in the entire state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and it's where the cities are. It's essentially where the cities and towns are today. You know what I mean? So it's not like we got here and we're like, you know, we should put a town here. We should put a city here. It was, no, look, they have a city here already. We just need to make it European instead of native.
Even like where Mohegan is, Norwich and shit.
Yeah.
There's a waterway system, the Thames River, right?
Yeah, that's where the Thames River goes all the way from New London all the way up to Norwich, and then I think it's 3 rivers come together to start the Thames River, or the Thames. We spell it like the Thames, but we don't pronounce it.
Would make it an ideal spot for Native Americans to,
and they were. Yeah, that's where the Mohegans were. That's where, the Pequot, I think, were in Mystic. And then the Mohegans were up around the Norwich area. The Narragansetts were obviously Rhode Island, southern Rhode Island. And then the Wampanoags were the big ones. I think the Wampanoags went all the way from Cape Cod all the way to Providence, Rhode Island, in that area. But Wampanoag was like, even that, Wampanoag was a name given to like a ton of tribes in that area. They were still smaller tribes. They just fell under that, fell under those names.
Yeah. Isn't it the Pequot that is Foxwoods, right?
The Pequot is the Foxwoods, yeah.
And then the Mohegans is, of course, Mohegan Sons, right?
Yep. Yeah, I went over a bunch of that when we talked about the Legend of Indian Leap in Yantic Falls. So if anybody wants to hear about that, it's in that episode. You can check it out. Do the history of Norwich, Mohegan, the Pequot Wars. And then we also talk a lot about that stuff about Potchog State Forest, because that's part of it. I'm pretty sure. Haven't really done the Pequot Wars too much about there's the fort in Mystic that was the Pequot fort where Uncas went in there and basically slaughtered the Pequot people. That's a place that I got to get to pretty soon.
And hence Uncasville.
I would love to get down there and see Machu Picchu and some of those old stuff.
Love to get to see that.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by the Amazon, but also kind of petrified.
Right.
You know what I mean?
When everything can kill you.
When everything can literally fucking kill you.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get down there. We'll do an episode down there someday.
Oh my God, if we make it to the Amazon, bro.
That would be fun. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys for checking us out on YouTube, because we're definitely there now. You're only going to see my smiling face, but that's okay. Steve's in the back here. All right. As always, have a good night. Get out there. Find your spirits.
Salud.